We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
23.
Hey, what's up you guys? This is Steffi, aka In My Humble Opinion, and welcome back to another IMHO Film Club movie review. It's been a while, but I'm back with a movie review. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the newest movie out in theaters now, entitled Hustlers. So Hustlers stars Constance Wu, Jennifer Lopez, Keke Palmer, Lily Reinhart, Julia Stiles, Madeline Brewer, Lizzo, and Cardi B. The director is Lorene Scafaria, and the screenplay is also by Lorene Scafaria, based on the article by Jessica Pressler. And if any of you are interested in actually reading the article from which this movie is based off of, I will link that article in the description box down below. I read it after I watched the movie, but I was like, wow, really interesting stuff. So if you want to check it out, it's down in the description box below. So what is Hustlers about? Well, Hustlers is a heist movie that follows the real life story of how former strippers got together and built a business out of drugging and scamming high-powered men for money following the financial crisis of 2008. Like I said earlier, this movie was based off of an article, and the article was actually written about real life events. However, in the article, Jessica Pressler does say that the women that she's interviewing, they may or may not be the most reliable people, so we don't really know how true these events are, but this is a movie based on true events. Alright, so as in all movie reviews here on this channel, I'm going to be talking about the pros, the cons, and then I'm going to be giving my overall rating, so let's get right into it. Alright, so pro number one for me for this movie is the music and sound editing. This movie has a really bomb soundtrack. This movie opens and closes with Janet Jackson songs, which I really appreciate as a huge Janet fan. I feel like that's J-Lo giving a little nod and wink to her former employer. The movie takes place over like a several year period of time, I think from like 2006-ish to 2013-ish. So the way they use music, aside from just providing a great soundtrack, is they use the music to let the audience know where we are in time. So I thought that was really well done. And then as far as sound design goes, there was a moment in the movie where the sound cuts off because Julia Stiles, she's playing this woman named Elizabeth who is interviewing the women involved in the case, and she's asking Destiny all these questions, and then Destiny just abruptly shuts her tape recorder off, and as soon as she does that, the sound immediately cuts out. And I just thought that was a really creative use of sound design, especially in that high moment of tension in the movie. And it also underscores this idea that the women who are being interviewed, for better or worse, because they are, again, unreliable narrators, they're the ones in control of this narrative. So when they say that they're done talking, they really are done talking. My second pro of this movie is that this movie was directed by a female. But the reason why I feel like it's such a positive thing for this kind of movie to be directed by a female specifically is because of the subject matter. So again, at the center of this movie are strippers, and a lot of this takes place in strip clubs, and there's lots of scenes with nudity, there's lots of scenes with girl-on-girl dancing. The way that the camera was controlled and handled, it's very evident that this movie wasn't shot through the male gaze. A perfect example of this is the scene where Cardi B and Jennifer Lopez's characters are teaching Constance Wu's character how to give a lap dance. If you notice during that scene, the camera never really like pans down below their waist to show, you know, their hips and their butt moving and all of that. It's really just like chest up. I know if this movie was directed by a guy, during that particular scene, the camera would have been down below the waist. Let's see all of that action. But because this movie was directed by a female, you didn't really get any of those like shots where you felt like female actresses were being exploited for their bodies. I, as a viewer, especially as a female viewer, I just really appreciated that. So that's a big plus in my book. The third pro for me, obviously, is Jennifer Lopez. As soon as this movie was getting initial reviews out of TIFF, everyone was saying that, oh my god, Jennifer Lopez deserves Oscar buzz. I was like, wow, I gotta go see this movie then. And after watching this movie, I think Jennifer Lopez was such a presence in the film. Now, do I personally think the performance is like Oscar worthy? Me personally, I don't think so. I feel like if anything, she has a really good chance of at least being nominated for a Golden Globe. But looking at Jennifer Lopez's performance in this particular movie, her character introduction is wow, what a way to be introduced to Ramona, her literally performing a pole dance and stripping to Fiona Apple's Criminal. And in general, Ramona is such a freaking boss. She is someone that you genuinely trust will get you out of a sticky situation. Like, she has her ish handled. She is clearly the ringleader here of this group. And because of that, because of all of those qualities, her character is very likable. And I think that lends itself in a positive way to how we feel about Jennifer Lopez's performance, because she is such a strong, dominant female character in the movie. And my fourth pro to this movie is just the casting in general. I just thought that these particular group of women did such a good job in the movie. Going into specifics, I thought Keke Palmer was really, really funny. I loved the literal running gag with Lily Reinhardt's character because she just keeps vomiting every 5 minutes because she's just so nervous all the time. I thought Constance Wu was pretty good in this movie as well. Of course, like I just said earlier, J-Lo's such a boss in the movie, and all the women, I felt like when they were together, they had really, really great chemistry, and you really got that they were like in this together. All right, so the cons. Con number one for me is the pacing. The first act I thought was really, really great, introducing us to this world, showing us what it was like pre-financial crisis of 2008 happening. And then we get into act two, where they start explaining how the women really built this business together. And the beginning of act two is great, but then it kind of starts to get a bit repetitive once you see the same procedure happening over and over again, of the women finding a guy at the bar, one of them introducing the guy to the rest of the sisters, and then they drug the guy's drink, and then they drag him to the strip club, and then they take the money. It kind of gets a bit repetitive to a certain point. And then by the time we get to act three, it feels like act three is just so quick because that's pretty much how it all went wrong. And I kind of wish they spent a little more of act two exploring the different dynamics within the group. And they did touch upon this a little bit about how at times it was hard to get all the girls on the same page and for all the girls to show up and do what they needed to do. So I wish they would have explored that a little bit more. But for me, I felt like the pacing was a bit uneven in the movie because of that. And my second con for this movie is a bit weird, but go with me on this. After I got done watching the movie, I kind of was left wondering like what this movie was trying to say about female friendships, female bonds, because that was such a large part of this movie. The relationship between Ramona and Destiny. Even towards the end of the movie, you could tell that Destiny was still wondering where she stood with Ramona. Even though she never said it, you could sense that she was wanting more or less to have some sort of like friendship with Ramona still. And you get that sense from Ramona as well when she pulls out that childhood picture of Destiny from her wallet. And she talks about how if they would have met sooner under different circumstances, maybe things would have been different for them. So I just felt like that whole relationship between Ramona and Destiny and like what the film was trying to say about female friendships in general, it felt like an incomplete thought and it felt unfinished and like a loose end that wasn't tied up. I get that, you know, that this movie was based off of true events and maybe that's really what happened, but I wish the film would have made more of a point of saying something about that friendship, saying something about that relationship, and therefore saying something larger about female relationships in general. So yeah, I know it's kind of like a weird con, but I just felt like something was missing there that I wish they would have addressed. Alright, so my overall rating for this movie is a solid B. Hustlers is definitely an entertaining movie with a bomb soundtrack, which is always a plus for me. The story of Hustlers itself is already very interesting, and I'm glad a movie explored how strippers, specifically an industry that most disregard, were affected by the financial crisis of 2008. Because normally when we get movies about this period of time, they usually focus on the people who were actually in the middle of it, the people who were working on Wall Street, but we often don't think about what happened to other people. So to learn about what happened to the stripping industry during this particular time was interesting to me. Additionally, while the cast is great and J-Lo for me is the true standout of the movie, I do wonder if all the social media buzz on Twitter and out of TIFF may have skewed my experience of the movie a bit. But nevertheless, I still really enjoyed Hustlers, and I low-key feel like this is kind of what Ocean's 8 was aspiring to be, but that movie just wasn't smart enough to do it. But at least Hustlers pulled through and gave us the movie that we all deserved on that front. Well, alright, that's about it for me with this video. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and please turn on the notification button down below so you know when a new video from me comes out, and comment down below your thoughts on Hustlers. I'm assuming if you watched this review, that means that you saw it already, so please do let me know your full thoughts on the movie, because I've been hearing like really mixed reviews. Like, I've been hearing there's some people who like absolutely love it. They think Jennifer Lopez should be nominated, if not like win the Oscar, and then there's other people who are like, nah, I did not like that movie. So let me know, what were your thoughts on Hustlers? And as always, everything I said was just my own personal thoughts and all my humble opinion, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!